buttons here.
A lot of questions from last week.
Oh, I haven't looked at the sheet.
There was a ton we could go through.
Yeah, we had an old pile from.
Yeah, no, not very good.
All right, I think we are up on everything.
Oh, all right. We're up.
I'm the first one in our.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Morning, everybody. Welcome to show number 93. Is it? Oh.
Hold on, let me see.
Are you sure that's right?
Is Facebook up? Can you check that? It's supposed to start on its own.
We're still getting things going, so thanks for your patience. I'm sure people are joining us.
Yeah, apparently, it just decided it doesn't.
All right. Welcome to the 034 Motorsport Live. This is our 93rd episode round. I'm Javad Shadzi. This is Nate Stewart. I'm the CEO of 034 Motorsport, and Nate is the head of engineering. And we're here to do a Q&A. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, certainly anything 034 products, services related. We're also happy to talk about the company's history, anything else you want to know about 034 Motorsport.
Yeah.
And about anything else, too. We love to weigh in on controversial topics. And we're not afraid to take a no BS approach to how we respond. So I may look fed up, but I'm not. I'm just very direct and here to answer a bunch of questions. I actually really enjoy my job. But someone thought I looked fed up a few weeks ago. So all right.
It is a Monday morning, so you gotta apply that filter, right?
Yeah.
Building is questions.
Yeah, so go ahead and enter any questions that you'd like us to respond to in any of the formats that you're on currently. We do have some questions from last week that we can touch on. Let me see if any of these are. Javad, any modifications for the Q7? Yes, I have been daily driving the Q7, and I'm very excited about modifying this car. One of the first things I did is I installed a trailer hitch, like a 2-inch receiver, and then I have a really nice bike rack that mounts into the receiver. So that's been huge for me, is just to be able to throw a bike. I can throw up to 5 bikes on the back really easily, and that's been awesome. But as far as performance modifications, we will be doing lowering springs for any static spring cars. We will have lowering links for any cars with air ride. We're doing a front and rear sway bar package. And I believe we will offer brake rotors for the car. And we're looking into doing an airbox and then certainly a full 3.0T tuning program.
Yeah, we'll have software for it as well.
Yeah. So the goal is, and then I also have our 21-inch ZTF 01 R01s on the car as well with 3 15s.
They're insane. I saw the stats sitting out when they came out. It's like
they look beady, but I mean the car. It's a big car.
Yeah, it's absurd. It doesn't look oversized at all.
It looks just like the right amount of tire for the car. They're 315s. And so currently the car is on some lowering springs, and with the wheels and tires, it already handles a lot better. It's a lot more fun to drive. Still rides really nice. Still has great clearance. I can still, run over things and not worry about what I'm hitting or potholes or things like that, which is really
full like Gran Turismo.
Yeah, but the goal will be able to make 500 plus horsepower SUV that can seat 7 people. That's does 0 to 60 maybe in the 4 or 5 second range, and is still fun and to drive and handles. So that's what we're doing so far, and you should see some of these products rolling out maybe this summer, towards the fall. We're just starting sway bar development, and that'll take a little bit more time. What does the plus in Stage 1 Plus mean for B9 3.0T? So well, I don't even know if we're all in agreement, but
B9.
for B9,
B9,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. We've said other things in the past, but we're redefining it, and what it means now is a high flow, high pressure fuel pump.
Yeah. And I mean, with all of these things, these are, it's a marketing term. There's nothing official. It's not like in, Webster's dictionary somewhere on the definition of what
It's not
stage.
it's discrete.
It's up to what the market kind of adopts and standard kind of nomenclature for a given market and product line.
Yeah.
So, we always say, look at the required hardware, recommended hardware for all of the calibrations. And that's what you should really be basing it off of. But in this case, high pressure fuel pump is the addition there for the plus.
I mean, it means what we define it as.
Yep.
We define it as high pressure fuel pump.
Yep.
And the One Plus is included with Stage 1, and we provide that at no additional charge. We are working on our own high pressure fuel pump solution. We'll release something in the future. For the time being, there are a number of options on the market. We're not currently making any recommendations for anything. However, if it flows, 30 to 35, 40% more than stock, then that's a good specification. But we're not here to recommend any particular option.
Yeah.
Is it safe to launch my B9 S5 with E85 more than once? Yeah.
Yep. We launched. Yeah, we definitely launched a lot more than once on we're testing these.
I guess I wonder where that question comes from.
I'm wondering if it's
I'm just not sure if it's safe.
Yeah. I mean,
Chassis is
Well, I mean, if it was only here's what I meant. If it was only safe to launch it once, it'd be like a big sticker that we put over your windshield to make sure that you could only launch once somehow, or the software would only allow you to do it once or something. We wouldn't just offer a product that wasn't safe and then not say anything about it. So generally, unless we call out something or it's in the realm of like the known, like you shouldn't run your car into solid objects going 80 miles an hour. Don't do that. But you can launch it as many times as you want. And it's safe, and all our ECU safety systems are in place. So if things start getting too hot or whatever, you could break something in your drivetrain at some point. It's possible, although on Stage 1, it's very unlikely.
Yeah, that's any time you're that just goes with territory on anything.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as you have like street wheels and tires, that's really not.
Yeah, no, we haven't had any issues.
But once you start putting like wrinkle slicks on, and you start really setting the car up for drag racing, then certainly your
chances are
you're going outside the normal use. A6 3.T at the strip. Is there increased trans wear potential when in AMAX mode, traction control off compared to normal shifting with traction on?
Theoretically, yes. The clutches are used a little more in that gear transition. So you're basically blending from one gear to the next with the clutches versus doing a big torque reduction in the ECU to rev match the next gear. But we've never seen a compromised box in any of the VF8 stuff we've done. It's such a short thing. I mean, I guess unless you're driving around, launching everywhere.
AMAX is a factory.
It's a factory feature. Yeah. I mean, it's not like we're manipulating anything outside of the normal mappings.
Everything wears out your car. Driving your car. If you could put your car in a hermetically sealed chamber, it would last a lot really long.
Well, it's still gonna have dry rot and rubber rot, but anyway.
Well, no, not if it's humidity controlled and whatever. But like,
against
the point is, yes, AMAX is using the transmission a little bit more, but it's not safe. It's not wearing your transmission down in an unacceptable way.
Yeah. To your earlier point, we don't remove any of the safeties around it. It's all the temperature constraints and condition constraints are still there. So yeah, we've not had any issues with it on any of these transmissions.
Mm-hmm. There's lots of questions about B9A4 tuning. Last week, someone said B9A4. I'm certain it will never be made. Okay, well, and someone's saying it seems like you guys always shoot down B9A4 tuning questions. Okay, well, that's just a dumb passive aggressive comment. we will make it when we deem it a priority for us as a company. So this is America, and there's freedom for all people. And so as a company, as 034 Motorsport, we wake up every day and we come in here and because this is America and there's freedom. And the police will actually defend this, and the military would at some point too. We get to decide what we do to make ourselves the most successful we can, and also what makes us the happiest. Now, certainly we have to accept the consequences of other people getting unhappy about what makes us successful and happy. But we decide, and currently B9A4 tuning is not a high priority for us. I think we've been very clear about that. It is within our engineering docket of tunes and products to work on when we feel that it's a level of priority or benefit to the company. Unfortunately, for any of you waiting, you have several choices. You could either respect our communications. You could get angry at us and attack us and troll us and bash us and try to hurt us.
Something we haven't done yet.
Yeah, you could try to give us really terrible negative consequences so that we would do something you want. I don't know how I don't know how that kind of behavior has worked for you in your life, but that generally does not get the people that you want to do something to want to do something for you. So, I mean, all we can ask is you patiently wait if you'd like to, or
We're not telling you to. We're not forcing you to.
go buy an UPR, or I think Eileen has a tune.
Do they have one out now?
Yeah, everything that we've heard is that there's B9A4 tuning just doesn't sell very well. And we did a B8 A4 tune, and it has not sold very well. I mean, we've sold them, but when we release an S4 tune or RS5 tune, these tunes actually sell, and a lot. And so for us, the best way for us to use our freedom is to work on the tunes that make us and the people here the most successful. As the CEO of this company, I want employees to get raises. I want them to have kids, to be able to buy houses, to have a retirement. Yeah, we offer a 401k here. And so when we release tunes that sell a lot and make the company profit, we can generate that kind of success for our employees. And that's our goal.
And it's one of those things. If we focused on these slow movers, it's not that we don't like the A4. We don't.
It's a great car.
I love this car. We have one here. We did a lot of work with it. We did do a bunch of calibration work on it at the time. But I mean, if we just sat and sold A4 tunes or focused on that and pushed some of these bigger projects aside, that's kind of a removing some foundation from our entire engineering effort and resources that we wouldn't be able to build up on. So, when it comes, it'll be here. It'll be fully supported. It'll be built on top of a huge tuning effort that we're working on.
But this question specifically says, can the customers at least get an update? Well, we're constantly giving updates.
The problem is, what do you want to hear? Like, we're working on it.
Giving updates.
We've got about 1,500 projects at any given time across hardware and software that we're working on in various states of completion. So I mean, there's
the update is and has been that it's in our queue of things to work on. We're not really working on it right now. We don't have a release date. It's something we've agreed to do at some point, but never have we said it's coming or it's a high priority or anything like that. So, yeah, I think a lot of the people out there who want this, from their perspective, it's super important and they really need it, and so that it's somehow a priority here. But we've never said this is a high priority effort here, and I think we'll probably do something, but we don't even know when.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just trying to be really direct and address these questions about B9A4 tuning. It's good to see that there's some excitement and enthusiasm, and
certainly, I mean, we want to have calibrations for everything. I mean, there's no reason we don't, other than we're limited by reality, resources, manpower to get all this done. So
yeah, okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
And the 2.9T E85 files, what Lambda you guys run at?
2.9T E85. I mean, that's going to depend on conditions. So it's going to vary based on all sorts of things: EGT, air temps,
There's lots of these questions that come up
I
about,
mean, you can log it with VCDS if you want to. You're curious and to see where yours is targeting.
people want to know how much boost does our tune run?
That varies a lot.
Or what lambda do we target, or how much timing do we run? I mean, that you could possibly tune like a mega squirt that way. You know,
These
standalone.
yeah,
but-
we're not targeting a fixed boost or a fixed lambda or a fixed. I mean, we've got some constraints and things just like the factory does of where we want to hit it. But
well, the thing is, we do target certain boost levels based on
to accomplish
variety
and
conditions and inputs to the ECU. But when someone says how much boost do you run, that's not targeting. That's just you're just running that. You know, that's not how it works.
The boost pressure or lambda or any of these things are a means to an end. So we're trying to control amount of power at the power delivery, via torque request, and then there's a lot of math and wizardry that happens before that that's going to define how much air you're going to have to push through the motor. So how much boost you need, how much fuel you're going to need to support that air, what are your EGTs going to look like when it's happening. That's going to define your lambda controls. So yeah, it's a very complex underpinning. So it's very difficult to give. Yeah, we run 0.88 lambda or whatever.
And I just wonder, are any other tuners saying that? I mean, what I said last week is if there's a tuner that says we run XPSI boost, you should run away from that tuner.
Yeah,
because that's not even how the system works.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, can you delete the ones we've been answering? Keep reading the same one.
Yeah, I think
Not that S5 one.
that one.
Can you guys make a video on how to use your data logging?
You push a button. I mean, that's really what the data logging is intended for.
I mean,
we set you up with the application. Our support team will send you some, a quick thing of instructions, but literally you plug in the cable, you push a button is our end goal. Because the data logging and the data collection is for us to review and for us to, help evaluate how the health of the tune or the motor, whatever it is we're trying to troubleshoot.
Yeah. The data logging is, as we always say, is not a tuning tool for you, the end user, to have, and it's specifically used by our tuning support team to give us insights into what's going on with your car. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you have questions about how to use it, you can ask your tuning support advisor. You're working with them, and they can answer any questions for you. But this is not like a thing like for broad public consumption. Not yet, anyways. And we may do something later on, but that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't even want to make a video to encourage people to use it.
And
that's not our goal.
Yeah. Right. And outside of like literally clicking that button, if how to use a logger, what you're looking at, how to interpret the data you're getting, that's way outside of the scope of anything we could cover, and it changes literally almost entirely depending on what platform we're talking about.
Any updates on the ETA for MQB 2.0T hybrid turbo development, and what turbos, hardware fueling you will support? We have been working on this, and kind of back to what we were saying about B9.4.
Yep.
It's not the highest level of priority.
We know there are a lot of them.
We've been pretty open about we're working on what's the turbo that we're
EQT
and EQT what?
the Vortex.
The Vortex
we have
turbo?
Vortex XL, I think.
The current standard.
We have the standard currently. Yes.
Yeah.
We're looking.
So we'll support some of the EQT turbos. There'll be KO4 tuning. I'm not sure what else we'll do.
IS38.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of where that's at, but no official dates or anything. We will be doing MPI staged injection.
Yep.
So we have all this on a car running here.
Yeah, I mean we've got a flex fuel multi-port.
But again, it all gets prioritized with the really, really important things that we need to do, and you can see what we've been doing. Any updates ETA to release B9.5 TCU Stage 2?
That's another one we were working on.
We are actively working on that. With no release date, but soon, in the next few months.
Yeah,
or sooner. Updates on B9 S4, S5, SQ5 Advanced Launch Control. also something we're working
Yep.
on.
Yep.
No date, but it is something we're working on and that we will be releasing. Is TTE710 recommended over Pure 750? We're not making any recommendations at this point. You could ask the community what people think.
Yeah, we have both. We'll be releasing whatever findings we have for both of them once they're finalized.
I recently flashed my 2021 B9.5 SQ5 with Stage 1 ECU TCU, but I've not been able to figure out the launch control feature. I've followed a few write-ups of older generations, but no dice yet. Has anyone been able to get it to work for the B9.5?
Yeah, I think maybe you're looking at some of the B8 stuff where we have our advanced launch control we just mentioned on it, and we have a lot of controls wrapped around that that are interfaced with the cruise control stock. That's not something that's currently implemented on the B9s or the turbocharged 3 liters. But yeah, it's no different from stock for launch control on these currently. So yeah, traction control off, dynamic mode on. Things have to be warmed up. Foot hard on the brake, and then the other foot on the gas.
You do have to push the brake down hard.
It's not like in
Once you have your foot on it, it's off and on.
And launch control on these is a little different than some. It's not going to free rev up to an RPM and just sit there. It'll load up the torque converter and sit there. So the whole chassis, you'll feel it load up. It's not it's not like a DSG launch control or you're doing it in a manual.
But there's no need to guess. You could just email tuning at 034motorsport.com and get your questions answered there.
Yep.
Please don't guess. Just send us an email. We'd like to help. What is the policy with selling a car and handing tunes to the new owner? Is there an ability to pay to switch to the new buyer, or do they have to pay the full price again? So here's our policy. We are happy to transfer a tune on a VIN to a new owner. So if you sell your car, simply contact us, tuning at 034motorsport.com, and we will transfer that VIN and the information to a new owner. So we will update your account and replace your information with the new owner's information. And that tune will stay on that VIN in that car. We do not support selling of our tunes to other VINs. So if you would like to sell your tune that you've been running for however long to someone with a different car than your car, we don't do that. I think some companies may or may not, but that's not something we want to get into, and we've never supported that. But we will transfer the ownership of a VIN to a new owner for free. Just send us an email.
And then if they need to, if you want to keep your cable and they need a cable, they can buy a new cable.
You can buy a new cable for $150, or you can sell them your cable or give it to them or whatever it is they'd like to do. Yep. They will need a cable.
But the file, the software and everything is sold to that VIN essentially. We wouldn't.
It can stay with that VIN.
Yep, we wouldn't charge or ask you to pay again just because it's a new owner.
Anyone notice a whine from the transmission on launch with B9 3.0 T? Yes, it's there were some threads about this weekend. Consensus is that stock vehicles do it, and there's nothing wrong with your transmission. I think we modern people live in a world where cars don't make any sounds. If you actually knew the god awful sounds everything in your car made, it would probably kill you.
Oh my god! Yeah, if you hard mount a differential or a transmission, even in your nice quiet B9, it's going to sound insanely raucous, and that's it's pretty astonishing how good the mounts are at removing those noises. Whines, whirring, gear noises.
Yeah, so everything in your car is making lots of noise, and there's incredible engineering effort that goes into isolating you from all those sounds, all those vibrations. A lot of times with, for example, our motor mounts, someone will start feeling some vibration and they actually think the car's something wrong with the car. And it's like, no, your entire car is shaking. It's just you're in an isolated cabin of peace and quiet, but your engine is shaking and whining and vibrating and doing all kinds of really unpleasant things, and you just don't even know about. So this goes for a little bit of transmission whine as well. So yeah, totally normal. Nothing's wrong. Your car did its stock, but you probably have a hypersensitivity to it now that you've tuned it. By the way, we did release our 2.9T RS4 RS5 tuning last week. And we've sold a lot of them. We're really happy to see these tunes going out. A lot of great positive feedback. We did do a small little update to the idle.
Oh yeah.
And so we sent that email out yet? Okay. We will be sending an email out today. But if you've purchased the tune, log back in to your flashing account, and you'll see an updated revision file there.
Not all cars, too.
It's not all the cars. If you see one, flash to it. If you don't, then it doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
Or your vehicle or your box code or whatever.
Yeah, it was a super like.
Yeah, just a small little
tweaks
tweaks and improvements for idle performance and
idle tuning.
So, but yes, if you are interested in the tune, it's like another week of our discounted pricing.
To the end? No, till Wednesday.
Till Wednesday. Okay, so till the 31st. So that's 2-3 more days. Of 20% off introductory price. I'm sorry, 10% off introductory price for our 2.T2. So
yep.
Definitely get in on that. How are we doing on that?
JB4 campaign.
JB4.
I think we've had 5 people take advantage of it. So
Okay.
5 slots. As far as I know.
So we do have a JB4 upgrade program. We offered a discount for the first 10 people, and we've had 5 take that up. So there's 5 spots left. If you're interested in upgrading from JB4, for all the benefits that we've discussed previously.
And we've got a number of reviews now, people that have upgraded.
Yeah, and there's no comparison. I think there's this misconception that JB4 is as good of a tune as a tune, and that's just not the case. JB4 is a really nice tuning box, and those just have severe limits based on how they work by lying to the ECU. So we're actually going and reprogramming the tuning,
particularly
with all the safety features,
ECU and TCU interaction, traction control, all the other things that you can't trick. We are also in the process of validating some GPF files for the European market.
Oh, good.
We'll let you know when those are available.
They're having questions about GPF.
Yep.
Some folks aren't happy with us calling JB4 by name. They think we should have just said tuning box or addressed
I would count. I mean,
no. So
it's any of them. But, I mean, I think we've been pretty fair or pretty.
What other ones are there that people are using?
Race chip.
Is anyone using it?
Yeah, I think it's a custom for some reason. They can change maps.
You can with JB4 too. But.
I mean, we're calling out JB4 specifically because that's what customers were saying to us, and specifically the feedback that we got was that JB4 is this, JB4 is that, is JB4 blah blah blah, and so specifically, my impression, and we haven't done any polling or we don't know for sure, that the majority of tuning box use in the 2.9T market is JB4. We've played with some of the race chip stuff. I have really seen very few people running it, but anything that for JB4, would apply to any other tuning box in the market. There's no magic tuning box engineering, capabilities where you can overcome the massive limitations of what a tuning box does.
I think, and also we've said, JB4 is probably one of the better ones out there.
I mean, I've said if you want to get a tuning box, it's a great option. If you'd like to limit yourself to a tuning box, power and performance, and if you'd like to open yourself up to the potential problems that a tuning box can pose for safety, JB4 probably is the best. But we're not here to recommend JB4. But people are running it, and that's what the questions were. I'm sorry if it hurt anyone's feelings, upset anyone. We are competing with them, and we have a superior product, and we're here to let the market know. So, I don't know what else to say. JB4 is welcome to respond if they'd like to. I don't want to get into a feud with Burger Motors Tuning. I don't know them at all, and there's no feud. I mean,
we're just trying to relay like what they are, what is going on between the two strategies of calibration versus tuning box.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a fine dining restaurants criticizing McDonald's, and McDonald's is great if you want a quick lunch with high cholesterol and lots of fat and calories. Go to McDonald's. But if you'd like a really good meal that is nutritious and healthy and fills you up, then that's what we're here to do. But we're not competing with that.
It's a tough thing to convey the differences. There's people that are going to tell you one way or another why one might be better. We're just trying to tell you what the differences are, how things work under the hood, and why we feel one approach is better than the other.
Well, the fast food example is, I'd say, pretty probably emblematic. Is we have these like gourmet meals, and someone's saying, "Well, isn't this just as good as McDonald's?" And again, McDonald's is fine if you want fast food; it's a good option.
It serves a purpose.
But that's not what we're doing, and there are some huge benefits. And so our JB4 campaign would apply to anyone with a tuning box.
And to Nick's point earlier too, like if your tuning box has maps or the ability to switch levels or what have you, that's just you're just dialing the amount you're lying to the ECU. There's really nothing or less that it's doing. So you might be able to tailor the amount of fudgery your ECU has to do, but that's literally all that it's doing. It's not. Yeah. There's not some remapping or anything else going on.
It can't. It's completely intercepting like 3 different sensors to the ECU. I don't know if there's any feedback on that. I mean, if you're upset with us, you're going to be upset with us.
Right. I mean, I'd like to know the specifics. If you want any more detailed questions, feel free to ask. We're here.
We're not here to like make JB4 feel good. We're not here to make people who own JB4s feel great about their decision to continue running it. We're here to offer a much better solution. And that's what we do. We're going to keep doing that. That's literally why we're in business. Can you add valves open all the time in dynamic mode for RS5 like you do B9 S4?
This is getting more and more requested, so we'll take a look at it. It's one of those things. I mean, if the vast majority is asking for this, we have no problem in moving that direction for you.
Any reviews on how fast these RS3s are running on your Stage 1 E85 and Stage 2 E85 tunes? So we went out early on and did some drag racing in our in-house RS3, full weight, a hot summer day, and we ran a slew of like 10.8s at 120 miles an hour on Stage 1 E85.
No prep to the car. And
it was an older version of the tune, not even the current tune. There's no reason our file can't run low 10s or even into the 9s. The really fast cars you're seeing are very heavily prepped. These cars that are running 9s, they have tiny little racing brake rotors. They have at least R compounds or wrinkle slicks on them. Serious lightning. So this is where we've grappled with this dynamic of drag racing. Especially elapsed time dictating the performance of a tune. You could literally take a stock RS3, cut the roof off, and just leave the ladder frame.
Motor Trend did a great,
and you could run like 7s
in early 2000s. They took like some Econobox terrible thing and just started removing
with a sawzall, just
sawzall the thing at the strip just to get same day back to back runs, and they ended up literally with like just enough frame to hold the wheels together, and the thing ran like 10.
And the thing's
like a 15 or 16 second car. It was an absurd amount of time they picked up.
But that's just an extreme point to make. You didn't change the factory tuning; it's still the factory tuning. So but our DAZA tuning is producing the maximum power and torque that that turbo and the factory rods can make. There's no one else is making more power than we are, and then we're adding the smoothness, the refinements, and everything as well. So you can run very fast on our tune. It's a great tune. I highly recommend it. But the DAZA market's interesting. It's a very kind of
It's a real tough thing to quantify when you say X tune runs this time at the strip, but you really got to know all of the details around that.
Yeah. The DAZA community really kind of gets polarized that only one tune, everyone has to run one tune. I mean, like one year, the best tuning was this, and then within a month, everyone switched over to a completely different company. Like, it's just you don't see that in other tuning segments. So for us, it's very volatile. We do DAZA tuning, but we kind of do it at arm's length because it gets a little dramatic sometimes. B9 SQ5 Sway Bar ETA. They are in manufacturing. It's probably going to be about 2 more months or so, fortunately. Getting steel like that right now is very, very difficult.
The simplest thing in the world, you'd think.
We make those in the U.S. and they are tough to make right now, but they are in manufacturing. We have sourced the material, and they're awesome. It'll transform the way the car drives. So very excited to release that product. Stage 2 and Stage 3 B9 RS5 tuning ETA. Stage 2 is not far off. Stage 3 will be further off. We're not actively working on Stage 3 right now.
Yeah, we got to wrap up 1 and 2 first.
But I'd like to think, by the fall or something.
And it'll be 2 and 2 plus, just like we did with Stage 1.
I saw Mercracing's developing a new supercharging system. They also featured your tuning setup and had your stickers on the table. Will you guys be working with them to develop tuning for the new charger? I think we already addressed this a few weeks ago.
And I talked to Joe about this after we addressed that, because he thought we got sabotage or something by some of the viewers. But I mean, we'll work with whatever the market. If it's a system that works, is a price point that works for people, and is something that's going to be adopted. As we've said before, we're not going to avoid calibrating for these things. There just hasn't been anything on the market yet that's kind of fit all those bills and has been available.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to priority.
Right. And
what is that kit based on?
TVS 1900.
Yeah, it's the 1900 again.
So it's that same kit. Yeah, and that unit seems to flow more power.
Yep. It's certainly
more air, but no one has really gotten good performance out of it in the past. So it would take time and energy from our other tuning efforts, and what is it, like a $10,000 kit at least?
I don't know. That's that. Yeah, I think I heard 7, but
so I don't know how many people are gonna even be interested in.
And that's where it's always kind of.
If it's 12 people, it's not going to be worth it to do a tuning calibration program around that. But if everybody, hundreds of people wanted to do it, then of course, that would be the new thing.
Yep.
How much E is too much or too little for E40 file on B8 3.0 T?
We have a clip out on this, I'm almost positive, for the B8 stuff.
Confirm.
And we'll check on that. But anyway, we strongly recommend you have a content analyzer to start with, so you know exactly what it is versus guessing. I always want to err on the side of at least E40, maybe 45. You'll be fine. It depends on your fuel system. If you go higher than that, we have customers running 50, but it's already you're at kind of the limit of the fuel system already. So I don't know anything else about this. I think they mentioned what even stage they were on.
Yep.
So if it's like a fully strung out stage 2 plus setup, you may not have a lot of headroom left. If it's a stage 1 on E40, you're going to have a little more room to play on the higher ethanol content side. So I want to, just make sure you're at least E40.
EPL has a B8 3.0 T E85 tune. Do we have plans for doing that? If there's, or are we even considering it if there's barely any power gain? Up till now, we have not considered it. I mean, we've actively said that.
I've run fully 85 on mine in testing, and it wasn't worth. It wasn't really worth any extra power. There was a lot more fuel use in the setup, obviously, and it was just at the limit again of what we just said of the fueling systems, even more so. So stage 2 plus, I was not able to provide enough fuel for what we needed.
Which is why we've stuck with
you could probably get away with like a stage 1 or a mild stage 2. But.
Yeah. Was your 10.1 pass with the B9 TTE710 with a high pressure fuel pump? Yes, it was.
Yep, certainly was.
Are you guys going to develop reading monitor app or something like that?
We are working on. There will be some updates to some of our logging and other tools to do fault code stuff, but we're not here to develop a full like diagnostic tool suite for your vehicle. So I don't know if readiness monitors and things are going to be anything we would worry
No,
about.
he needs like sketches, shit like that. So like, if he had his laptop up, he could see that.
What was the question? Can you
That came up.
A
when we were
reading
talking
monitor
about
reading
stuff like
monitor
that.
app? Okay.
I mean, I didn't even, if you say so, but I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I guess what they're looking for, but at this time, no. We have our data logging stuff for diagnostic work, and then our flashing suite is the primary apps we're working on.
What do you think of ECS's rear-wheel drive conversion for B8, B8.5, 3.0 TU? I mean, it's out of the blue. I would honestly love to know where they came.
I did it once on my old Coupe Quattro.
Yeah, we've done it
We've done it on a couple other
B5s
cars,
and a number of cars. But I'd love to know, like, I don't know if someone at ECS innovated that.
Right.
You don't usually see them doing that. So, if you wanna do rear wheel drive burnouts, it's a good option. It's not going to make the car any faster.
I'm actually really curious how grumpy the ABS system gets with this, because that's
Sin is not having any problem.
Okay.
It's only for left foot brake does he have an issue.
Okay.
He says it's hilarious how front balance for these.
Yeah, and AZ Euros has done a kit, and we currently sponsor them with our B8 tuning products, and they seem to really like it. But yeah, I mean, Quattro is honestly one of the best things about Audi. It's why I got into Audis, and it's probably the only reason Audi is even a company. I think they probably would have gone out of business in the 80s for sure.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
a differentiator like Quattro. They would just, out the door with Saturn and Pontiac.
it's a huge stake in the ground for them.
Yeah.
It really helped, kind of anchored them.
Yeah, I mean, usually every company does one thing really well early on. You look at Apple or Microsoft, or you can kind of go back to like one thing they did really well, and then it just blew off, and then they can live off that for decades, and that's what Audi did with Quattros in the late 70s and early 80s. But yeah, again, if you want to do rear wheel drive stuff, you could buy a BMW or something too.
For what it's worth, I put my Coupe back to Quattro. Not
Yeah.
too long after, because it was just silly.
Will there be a 19 by 9.3 forged wheel for the B9 S4 in black? Possibly. Likely more happen in a flow form, because we're dedicating more effort to having a bigger selection of colors. For those, we haven't committed to doing lots of different colors and forged wheels yet. So no promises there, but in a flow form, I think that will be very likely. Yes.
And keep in mind too, we've said this a number of times, there are a lot of wheel refinishing houses out there if you want.
Yeah, locally for about $100 a wheel, you can get a nice professional wheel refinishing job. Not powder coating, but like actual paint. And maybe more like $150 these days. It's been a little while since I did it, but there was one place that we've used a lot. They color match things, and they do a nice job. What do you recommend for brake replacements on B9 RS5? Also, is it a must to do rotors and pads, or can we just replace pads? Well, obviously, we recommend our directional rotors, which are designed with correct airflow on left and right sides. So from the factory, the factory Audi on all these cars uses the same rotor on left and right, and the veining or cooling is directional, which is what you want. The directionality creates a vacuum in the center of the rotor that pulls air through the rotor to the outside. It works great on one side, that's the right direction. The other side, it works the opposite way. And so what you see on these Audis like RS5s is, one brake rotor will overheat much sooner than the other. So our rotors are direct fit for factory. They're directional in the correct way on both sides, strongly recommend doing our rotors, which also have the type of construction and metallurgy that allows torturous track driving. Factory rotors are known to warp much more, and we test our rotors heavily, aggressively on track, and the correct cooling and the metallurgy and the construction with the floating bobbin style is really what you would see on a proper like racing brake rotor. It's also what you'd see on a factory Porsche GT3 RS or something like that. And then, the pad of your choice. I personally like Padgett pads. We don't sell brake pads, but Ferodo makes good pads. Porterfield, Hawk has good pads. And these are, different various types of track compounds. And on the street,
Carbotex made good pads for. I don't know if they have anything for these right now.
yeah, a lot of it will just be like who even makes pads. But for on the street, I pretty much run anything. Factory pads or OE replacement pads. I would generally target something low dust. You're not really ever going to get into real heavy duty, high heat braking conditions on the street. It's just not. You're just not going to be able to do it unless you're like driving down a mountain.
Yeah,
on a really windy road or something. Even a canyon, like, unless it's straight downhill. What would you say is the best dual pulley setup for highway rolls with a 3.0 T?
I mean,
probably the one that makes the most power.
I mean, yeah, I tend to prefer the I guess more well-rounded matching. So I don't generally run anything larger than the 190 on the lower. And I personally actually prefer the 179, I think, or the 180 range. If you have an upper pulley, I just feel like that's where the most, the best all-around performance you're going to get. I know people put a lot bigger pulleys on there. It does make a lot more heat, and you're stressing out, fuel systems that much more. So, what I'm going to say is going to be like, 179 to 180 something lower with upper.
Yeah, which is a package wheel part.
Yes.
I have a 034 Stage 2 S3 8P. What do I get out of data logging, revised flash files?
No, it's not for. We're not doing this.
We don't do
like custom
tape
files for anything. It's to isolate or see if there's any hardware issues or some issues we are trying to track down. Spot health check. Some people will send us logs to make sure everything's good, even if they don't have any issues. But we're not sitting here dialing in every calibration for every car. There's no, there shouldn't be a reason to do that. So no, it's for diagnostic.
Yeah, generally, this is if you have an issue or a concern that you would like to address, you can email us and we will set you up. But generally, we try to be pretty selective. It's not just for people who want to mess around with their tuning. And we do not do custom tuning because we would not be able to do any tuning if we were custom tuning cars. And frankly, there's no benefit. Our off-the-shelf tunes are optimized, and the ECU has flexibility to continue to optimize for each additional
and
variations of cars.
And keep in mind too, if we're going down a custom tuning model, every time we have to do a release or an update, or maybe we're going to add a bunch of new features coming up in the next release, we're not going to go through every one of those custom tuned files and single file at a time, port and update, and make sure all of the custom tuning we did for that doesn't interfere with whatever other global changes we made in these calibrations. So it gets to be real messy, and if those tweaks would end up probably being left behind anyway if there was some mass update.
I was asking, will you bring back phone support? People like to speak to humans when they're stuck. Probably not. Unfortunately,
the nature of support is so technical for this stuff. I mean, we want a paper trail that
we do like having everything in writing, and we can support so many more customers so much better. Now we can talk to people. We do our support team does make phone calls every day.
Yes.
If it's justified or necessary to speak, we can arrange that, and we do. But we probably won't go back to just answering a phone that rings, because we've been able to be so much more productive and helpful and successful at supporting customers since we turned off the phone. So yeah, and I think the success that we've seen here speaks for itself. I get it. It would be great. I'd like to call lots of companies and talk to somebody, but companies have to decide the best way that they do so.
And that's assuming when you call, you're going to get the guy that knows exactly how to help you at that instant.
That's the other misconception is a phone call wouldn't necessarily get you what you want any better or faster. It may result in you just getting voicemail, because everyone's so busy answering phones that there's no time to answer phones.
Yeah, I mean, or the best case situation with most phone support issues, unless for the calibration side anyway, you call in with some question or issue, flashing or calibrate, or some tune related issue you may have or think you have, is you then have to relay that message to the someone in support here who's taking that. They're gonna have to write it down, get in touch with a calibrator or an engineer of some sort to try and relay that message to, translate what you told them over the phone that they then wrote down. They're gonna have to try and take that, figure out what that means, what it could be, then go back through and try and find your history. There's 15 more steps just to support a phone call, beyond just we can't just pick it up and expect everybody that answers the phone to know every question that's going to come across. Whereas you get an email in, it goes into our ticket system, it gets pushed right to the people that can help the best right away.
Yeah,
we can
I guess
right on it.
I'd put it back on whoever asked that question. Is what does he think he would get through a phone call that he wouldn't get through our current ticketing process?
Immediate
voice, but that doesn't.
No, that's what.
No, I know. I wasn't asking what your opinion was. I'm saying ask him to respond. I'd be interested to hear what he has to say. And we could all guess at what they're hoping to get, but I'd like the people, the handful of people who've complained. I'd be interested to know what do they hope to get. And again, if what you say is right, immediacy. Well, there's no guarantee that a phone call is immediate. If we start answering phones again, you're going to call and leave a voicemail. And it could take us 3 days to call you back. So this is my point. There's this perception of what people think they would get with a phone call, but the reality is going to be very different in most cases. Yeah. And I don't even when he says when we're stuck. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Right? That's
You need a tow truck, or is this you're stuck flashing? I don't know. I wasn't sure what that means either. Lots of questions. Are you going to make a catted downpipe that's emissions legal so we can run stage 2 and pass emissions? We're looking into it. There are some
we've talked
49 state legal, and there are some carbon-proof cats. The fact of the matter is the factory cats flow really well. And there's probably no need for that. And so I'll tell you right now, and this is what I've been saying more and more about, is that we are going to be moving towards supporting maximum power and performance with the factory cats for the non-racing user to use on the street under emissions control environments. And so that would be like stage 3 kits that use the factory cat that still produce a lot of power. But thankfully, the factory cats are big and they flow a lot. And they're not as big of an issue for performance as they used to be, say, going back 10, 20 years ago. Like B5 S4 stock cats were very restrictive. You had to get them off the car
if you wanted to make
any kind of power.
Stock.
But the gains are pretty minimal. I mean, our B9 3.0 Stage 2s, you really gain about 10 horsepower. From the downpipe. You can get most of the gains from Stage 2 from the intake and intercooler mod. So the downpipe itself really gives you like a 10. And people really seem to like the Stage 2, but it's not a big. Okay, so that person responded, what he would like to get by being able to call is troubleshooting. Okay, so this is exactly my point. The best way for us to help you with troubleshooting is to email in and get in our email ticketing system. Because we cannot have our tuner calibrators sitting on the phone all day talking to people. So what our tuning support team, they're trained to respond to certain types of questions, which we refer to as level 1, and then there's level 2, and there's various escalations. But the really technical troubleshooting stuff is going to go to the actual tuning calibration engineering team, and they cannot talk on the phones. Like if that would be insane for me to have, a highly paid, highly compensated engineers just talking to people on the phone troubleshooting. But they can respond to troubleshooting questions through our email ticketing system in a very much faster, more efficient manner.
So
Yeah,
the question
specifically
has Nate, you want to read?
Yeah, so it was at Buttonwillow, my buddy's S5 tires got shredded. He wants to talk to an expert about options. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen on a phone call. I'm sorry, like that.
No, we don't have experts standing by to talk on the phone.
Yeah,
I mean, we never will. So you can send an email into our ticketing system and we will respond. And I'm assuming this was on a weekend.
Yes.
So, okay, we will never have any type of support on weekends, unfortunately, because, our employees get the weekends off. So, yeah, again, phone call is not the solution here. We actually have the most optimal solution for you, which is email in, and we will do our best to help you through our email ticketing system.
Yep.
And specifically, it could get escalated to me. I respond to a couple of these types of questions every day. You could have asked this question live on the air. We're done in 3 minutes. But Nate and I are here to support. Yeah. So you could ask.
We can talk a little bit on it too. But I mean, that question and questions like that are also something that you'll find if you called in unanswerable questions. We do not know how it was being driven. We don't know what, anything else around, that question is my tires were getting shredded. Well, yeah, you're at a racetrack in an Audi. That's pretty much normal. What, we need to know all the setups. Did you check tire pressures and temperatures between sessions? Is this your first time out? Is this your 100th time out? So, and all of that is something that is very difficult to convey when you have, maybe 15 follow-up questions that you need to answer your question. Saying that over the phone, you're not going to remember everything we just asked you to basically relay back to us. So it's a much faster medium to get information via, email or support.
Someone wants to know how long it takes to reply via email. Anyway,
generally, we strive to reply within 24 business hours. So if you email in on a Monday, we would like to respond to you by Tuesday. Yeah. That can vary up to 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it's much quicker than 1 day.
Somebody's saying I've had same day replies to emails. Yeah, I mean we're trying to knock everything out. We can't let any of these things sit, or it's going to just go. We never get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. We're almost out of time here. What spec laptop is needed to tune? Is there anything you can recommend that's a good price? Lots of $150.
It doesn't take much right now. A working Windows 10 or 11 laptop that's on a normal x86 processor, which is almost all of them these days.
We don't recommend Macs or Apples or whatever.
Yeah, no, it needs to be a native Windows installation.
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who can.
There's people that have run other stuff, but we've never had luck with the VMs. You've got a dual boot natively. So anyway, they're cheap. Just a working Windows 10 laptop or 11 laptop.
There's a question about street density snap.
I think it's a trans mount based on.
We don't want to guess. So
to be honest, though, that's the only street density anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It would just be good to, I would say, get before you put those questions in. Let's just ask
on install.
What is it? TTE710 versus 810. Yeah, the 810's bigger, so you're gonna have a little bit more flow up top. They're rating at another 100 horsepower of flow, and that's gonna be at peak power, which would be, at the top of the power band. Yep. And it's likely gonna reduce spool up or increase lag some amount. I can't say.
That's usually the trade-off.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off. how much horsepower difference between stock and 034 intake on a B9 RS5? All right, let's talk about this really quick. Intakes don't make power. Intakes support power. So if you put our intake on a stock vehicle, our intake flows substantially more than the stock intake, but the factory ECU is just going to, it's targeting a certain amount of power. And so it's probably not going to make more than a few horsepower difference because the factory ECU tuning is going to ensure that the power is what, the torque request from the factory. So, but once you tune it and you flash it, then our intake will make more power. And our intake will support substantially more power. I think on the B9 RS5, it's going to be at least 30-40% more power.
So, yeah.
But intakes are support, tuning support. They're not power adders. So a power adder is like a supercharger, a turbocharger.
Right.
That's what makes the power. And then you need supporting components that can flow enough for that power adder's level of performance. And that's where our intakes shine.
Yeah. And I'll go a little bit longer here, but it's one of those things on these modern engine or management systems too, where the ECU, you may not see a difference on the dyno rollers because the ECU is making up for it with a little more boost or a little different, generally it's still going to be a little more boost. But what you're not seeing is maybe repeated effects where it's doing that, it's making that more boost, more pressure less efficiently. So all your thermals are going to be a little higher, and your back to back, maybe track day or heavy driving is going to be impacted, but it's not going to show up on the dyno necessarily. So it's a really tricky metric to measure.
Yeah. A lot of great questions. Sorry we didn't get to them all this week. We will try to tackle those next week. Thank you guys for tuning in and participating. We really appreciate it. Thanks for giving us a chance to respond. See you guys next week.